Hello everyone. How are you all doing today? So, did everyone create the projects and spaces in Confluence as per the last session? And did you practice them? Ah, okay. So, let's get started for our today's class. In last class, we faced issues creating multiple issues in Confluence. Today, I'll explain how to resolve this, okay? So let's get started. Let me copy something, then we'll start. So first, let's go back to our project BC. Okay, so we'll use this as our base. So here's what we'll do. First, we can see that there's a copy link in the registration page. So copy a link from the business requirement specification, for example, in the registration page. Then paste the link into the Confluence table. Here you can see that the Confluence table is here. And repeat this for the other sections like login page to fill the table with relevant data. Like here you can see the login page link is pasted. Then once the table is ready, highlight the entries you want to create an issue. Click on create issue, then create multiple issues from tables. So here, after you can see that there is an option called create multiple issues. So you click on them. After that, it will be shown in here. Okay. The system will automatically generate tickets with appropriate summaries and descriptions. So if the issues aren't created in the correct project, double check your settings. For example, in today's demo, the issues were created in the wrong project because I forgot to link the table to the correct one. Now everyone try creating multiple issues using the table method. Follow the slides and the video for guidance. Okay, so if you have any problem, maybe you haven't linked the table to the correct project. All right, now let me show you something else. So when you delete something here, like into move to trash, even if you delete a project or space, it will stay in the trash for 60 days. Here you can see that the trash is here. It is here for 60 days. You can restore or permanently delete it from there. It's important to use both the slides and videos together. Sometimes due to time constraint, we may skip certain step in class. Everything is documented in the slides, so make sure to review them thoroughly. Okay? Now, uh, so we are working on project BC. So let's go through the details to ensure that we are on the right track. Let's take a moment to check the epics and the pages in the Confluence linked with it. So here are some. So here you can see, hmm, let me edit this part again. For now, I'm deleting all the ticket numbers. If I hover over it, the option to delete will appear automatically. However, sometimes it may take longer than expected. Okay, so I'm using the same trick to create multiple issues. For this, I select the project, in this case, project BC. At first, I forgot to select the project. As a result, the issues were updated in another project, which is project C. So this was a mistake. I've now selected the correct project and created the required stories, and this time reflected properly in project BC. Okay, so can anyone explain what mistake we made earlier? We didn't select the project initially, which caused issues to be updated in the wrong project automatically. Now, for creating and managing epics. Now I'm unlinking and deleting the previous epic to recreate it. I copy the descriptions in the correct project. Okay, so I copy it in the correct project, project BC. Mm. Then create a new epic. Once I created, I enable the epic button in Jira, which I've shown you in the previous class, to verify it appears in the backlog. The newly created epic is now visible in the backlog. This confirms that the project works when the process works on the project and the epic tab correctly configured. So let's discuss the steps we follow while starting a project. What do we receive first? The first thing we receive are CRS, VRS, and FRD. Okay, so these are high-level documents that guide the process. So suppose here is our project. Here is the high level. The product owner creates the product backlog, which contains all user stories. So it is product backlog. The backlog is prioritized after consulting with business analysts and other stakeholders. High priority items are placed at the top, where the low priority items are placed at the bottom of the backlog. So they are low level priority. So the Scrum Master uploads all the backlogs into Jira. They ensure that all issues are properly categorized and linked to epics as needed. So they may also contain user stories, etc. Now let's take Jira's backlog management. Okay. Initially, the issues we create are not linked to any epic. To check, we expand the epic and see no associated issues. Okay. Once the product backlog is ready, the issues are updated. And we link issues to the appropriate epic for better organization. Okay. Now, how to delete a space in Jira. So let me show you. Here you can see that there is a thing called manage space in space setting. Okay, go to spaces, view all spaces, then select the space. After that, go to space setting and choose delete space. So here we can see the delete space. Everyone should, once deleted, the space will be no longer visible in the list. Everyone should create two spaces, one for individual practice and one for team collaboration. So understanding this process is crucial. While practicing, ensure you pay attention to details like selecting the correct project and linking issues properly. So while you are applying for job, you need to demonstrate hands-on experience even if you lack actual work experience. The recruiters expect you to prove proficiency through knowledge and skills. So does anyone have any question or any needing clarification of this part? All right. Now let's again show you how to create space in Confluence. Okay. So what is a space? In Confluence, every project you create is called a space. Space are like containers for all of your documents, pages, and other content related to project. So you navigate to Confluence homepage. You can see the homepage. Then select create space and select blank space. Now after that, give your space a name. For example, let's name it Project Remel LC. Then set the default permissions as needed. Then after that, click on create space. Once created, you can star a space for quick access. Think of it as a bookmark for your favorite web page. It keeps your space at the top for easy navigation. Now, let's show you how to copy your page into a space. Imagine you have a repository of documents like test plans, BRS, etc. Okay, now you need to bring them into a space. So you open the source space where the documents are stored. Then click on the three dots next to the page you want to copy. Then select copy, then choose your target space. For example, in our case, project REML LC. So you can see that there is an option for our project. So ensure the page names in your target space are unique to avoid conflicts. If conflicts arise, you can rename the page by adding a prefix or suffix. So how to during this copy process, you select the option to include all the child pages to ensure the entire hierarchy is replicated in a space. Here we can see that there are 77 child page. So to verify, you should go to your space, refresh the content to check if all pages and child pages have been successfully copied or not. Okay. Now, deleting, let me show you how to delete page in Confluence. So why do we delete? So we delete to avoid page conflicts by removing unnecessary pages before copying new content. So for deleting, you first open the page, then click the three dots and select delete. Here you can see there is a delete option. So the deleted pages move to the trash. You can restore or permanently purge pages from the trash. To access the trash, go to the space setting, manage content and trash. Then choose to restore or permanently delete the items. Okay. Now, so what is an epic? An epic is a large body of work that can be broken down into smaller tasks or issues. So for creating an epic, you should navigate to the Jira board linked to your Confluence project. Click on Create Epic and name your epic, Epic 1, Epic 2, etc. Then to add issues, open your backlog. Here you can see the project backlog. Drag and drop issues under the relevant epic. Okay. Then alternatively, you can click on the issues, select add epic and assign it to the desired epic. You should ensure every epic is linked to the relevant issues for streamlined tracking. If you need it, and you can create multiple epics and assign issues dynamically. So, so the workflow is like we start with high level documents. Then, for example, like product requirements, backlog, etc. Then we prioritize the backlog. After that, we create epic in Jira. Then we assign tasks and issues in epic. Assign tasks. After that, we link Jira with Confluence for seamless documentation and tracking. So you can copy the product backlog into Confluence under a specific project space. Then create three epics like Epic 1, 2, 3 in Jira. And add issues to this epic using drag and drop or directly from the issues view. So you should ensure your Confluence page is linked to the appropriate Jira project for live updates and tracking. You can use the Jira issues macro in Confluence to display real-time issues data. You should always verify content structure in Confluence to avoid duplication and regularly clean up unusual pages and issues to maintain clarity. Okay? In Agile methodology, the product backlog is a prioritized list of features or functionalities to be developed by the project. The backlog evolves with the project and contains a detailed breakdown of features grouped into epics, further divided into user stories. So you can see that some of the example features of backlog are registration page, login page, wish list, search, add to cart, checkout, etc. In this session, we focus on Epic 1, which includes the following features: registration, login, search, add to cart, and payment gateway or checkout. For now, we'll exclude the payment gateway functionality and only focus on adding the checkout feature for testing purposes. Okay. Each feature or functionality in the product backlog is further broken down into user stories. A user story is a smaller, manageable piece of work representing a single use case or requirement. So let me give you an example of the registration page. Under the registration page, we might be following the user stories. Like mandatory field 1, ensure the user must enter a valid email. Then ensure the user must provide a password. Okay. Each of these user stories focuses on a specific aspect of the feature to ensure through coverage during development and testing. So, to create, edit, and link features or user stories with Jira for better tracking and management, there are some steps. Okay. So, you open the product backlog and select a feature like the registration page. Then, identify the user stories within the features. Now delete any placeholder IDs like YS006, etc. Then rename the user stories to make it descriptive, like user story registration page, mandatory fields one. Then copy the user description to ensure that it is clear and detailed. Okay. For creating an issue, you should highlight the relevant content. This will act as a summary. Then click on create issue. Here you can see that there is a creative view option. Then select the project like project BC. Choose the issue type. For example, here we chose a story. Then paste the copied description into the description field and select create. After creating the issue, note the automatically generated Jira ticket ID. So, like PV16. Then replace the placeholder ID in your Confluence documentation with this new Jira ticket ID. Once issues are created in Jira, they are assigned a status. So they are assigned like to do, in progress, and done. To do means the tasks are yet to start. In progress means the tasks are under development. And done means they are completed. Now, organizing issues in Jira. Drag and drop issues into their respective epics to maintain clarity and organization. Once an issue is linked to an epic, you can view all its child issues by clicking on the epic. So always use the Jira ticket ID for searching tasks. Search by the user story name may lead to confusion due to duplicate or similar entries. Now, linking ensures seamless integration between Confluence and task management, which is Jira. So, in product backlog, you can see there is an option for the in the right side, which is for linking the Confluence page. So, you navigate to business requirement page, copy the Confluence page URL. Then in Jira, click link Confluence page. Then paste the URL and select the appropriate project space, like project BC. Here is shown. If you lack admin rights, you may encounter errors while linking. You can still manually copy and paste links into the Jira issue descriptions. Once the product backlog is organized and issues are linked, business analysts prepare the business requirement specifications, so BRS. A pre-refinement session is conducted to review the user stories under an epic and ensure all requirements are clearly documented and understood. Now for test documentation, Yes. The QA team responsibilities are test plans, root cause analysis, defect reports. So the test plans are define testing scope and strategies. The root cause analysis are identify the underlying cause of issues and to log and track bugs identified during these testings is called the defect reports. All right. Now let me show you a practical demonstration for Jira's workflow. Okay. Now let's create issues for the registration page. So the user story can be titled user story registration page mandatory field 1. The description can be the email address field should be mandatory and validated. So you edit and rename the user story, copy the description, create an issue in Jira, uh, naming project BC, issue type story, and add the description. Then generate a Jira ticket and update the Confluence page. So here you can see the mandatory field for the registration page. Then created an issue for them. Repeat this process for other user stories like mandatory field 2. Here I've done it and login page. So for login page, suppose here it is for the login page. Then for the add to cart, I have created issues for the login page and add to cart. Now drag all relevant user stories into the corresponding epics. For example, assign on the registration page and login page stories to epic 1. Use the epic summary to track the associated child issues. Now let me show you a test plan document. So here's the test plan document. As you can see, it is dynamic, meaning it is changeable. Your responsibility is to modify it based on the features and requirements of the current development phase. So do not edit the original document link to the shared space. Okay. First, copy the document into your workspace. Work on the copy to avoid overwriting the main template. Now, to update details like created by, assisted by, reviewed by, for created by, add your name or the assigned person. For assisted by, mention team members or stakeholders. And for reviewed by, specify reviewers for quality checks. Okay. Now, for updating section based on features. Let's assume we are working on the registration feature from Epic 1. So here's how you'll update. So here you can see test objective scopes. Test objectives, you should review the objectives carefully. For example, ensure the website functions correctly, identify defects to log to in the defect report, ensure customer data is protected during the registration, for example, phone number, driving license. Then add specific objectives related to the current features, like validate OTP generation with a third-party tool. Then the second one is scopes. Scopes summarize sub-features or sub-tasks under the main feature. For example, for registration, verify all fields are visible with an asterisk and are functional. Or add additional scenarios like verify the create account button integration with the OTP generation tool. Then what is a sub feature? Okay, a sub feature is a smaller functional part of the larger feature. For example, a camera sub feature might include taking photos, recording videos, or applying filters. For registration, sub features can be mandatory field validation or integration of OTP generation. To update sub features, replace placeholders in the test plan. Instead of search functionality, specify registration functionality. To update sub-feature, verify all mandatory fields are proper validation. Verify the error message appears for correct inputs. There is also called test schedules and strategy. In test schedule, update the start date for test planning. Leave other fields empty until the respected phases begin. The test strategy usually remains consistent for the overall product. You can define types of testing like functionality, security, performance, and ensure alignment with the original goals. The test environment includes specific tools, operating systems, or browser. For example, test management tool like Jira, operating system like Windows 11, browser like Chrome. It tests data, the pre-refinement sessions clarify the data needed, but do not provide them immediately. For example, for the add to cart feature, you might need a login and password first. Data dependency also must be noted. Login and registration testers may need to provide necessary credentials here. So you should open the business requirement specification document, then analyze the requirements. For example, of the registration page, user must see clear indication of mandatory fields marked with asterisks. An error message should guide users for incorrect input. Then you can add also acceptance criteria like uh, mandatory fields must be clear and functional. OTT validation should integrate seamlessly with the third-party tool. Then reflect these details into the test plan. You can add test objective like validate mandatory fields, marking an error message. Then add scopes like verify integration of OTP, generation tools, ensure create an account button functionality. By keeping the test plan dynamic and continuously updating it based on the requirements and features, you ensure the project stays aligned with its objective. Always keep the scope and test objective in sync with the current phase of the development. Remember, the test plan is a living document, so you should keep refining it until the system integration testing phase concludes. Now, the test data is essential for simulating real-world scenarios during testing. It includes customer information, product data, and order records. For example, customer data can be name, address, number, driving license information. The product data can be descriptions, prices, and stock information. The order data can be shipping details, payment methods, and order statuses. So you can also determine in the refinement session whether to use dummy data or an actual data. During the registration testing, if OTP is required, verify whether dummy phone numbers can trigger OTPs. If not, confirm if real phone numbers must be provided for testing. Discuss and document these needs with the business analyst during the refinement sessions for to be clear. For project testing approach, you should focus on active features like working on registration functionality. Remove unrelated sections like cart or checkout from the test plan until those features are under development. Keep the test plan precise and feature specific. To handle multiple epics, if working on epic 1, tailor the test plan only for the registration feature. When moving to epic 2, revise the test plans to align with those features. Delete any irrelevant sections in your test plan to avoid any confusions. Okay. Now, test execution process. Test execution process can be different types like smoke testing, high-level testing to confirm the application is accessible and key functionalities work as expected. So you verify the website loads correctly, confirm the essential features like login and registrations are functional. If the registration fails due to the missing test data, log the issue as blocker and stop further testing until it is resolved. There can be also functional testing. It is a detailed testing of individual functions against specified requirements. So you execute test cases as per the test plan, record test results in Jira or a similar tool. Test that the registration page accepts valid data and verify validation errors for invalid email addresses. You can also log in defects like record defects with detailed descriptions, assign severity level, critical, major, or minor, and assign priorities. P1 for immediate attention and P3 for minor issues. Monitor defect status updates. Regularly communicate with the development team for status updates. Then the entry and exit criteria. The entry criteria code for the functionality is deployed in the testing environment. Test data is prepared or verified. Test cases are reviewed and approved. The exit criteria can be all tests are executed and results meet acceptance criteria outlined in the business requirement specification. As an example for the registration, ensure users can register successfully. Invalid input triggers proper error messages. Now for suspension and resumption. Suspensions are log delays in testing due to unresolved issues like test data for registration was not available on time. Record the data and cause in the suspension and resumption section of the test plan. For the resumption is to record the data and reason for resuming the work, like receive test data on January 24, resume testing. The following documents are expected in the test deliverables, like test plan, test cases, defect log, test closure report, test reports, etc. The test plan document outlines testing scope, approach, and objective. Then the test cases like individual test scenarios with expected outcomes. The defect log tracks identified defects with details like severity and priority. Then summarize testing results of test reports. And final document summarizing to test cycle in the test closure report. The risk and assumptions contains key risk and mitigation strategies. Key risks like performance issues under high load, cross-browser compatibility problems, security vulnerabilities, especially for sensitive areas like registration, and for mitigating strategies like delegate performance and security testing to specialized teams, conduct cross-browser testing for multiple browsers. Okay. Now, for the admin right management in Jira and Confluence, here you can see that the email address, password, you can add people the email, provide people's email address here. So to add assign admin rights, go to the setting and user management. Then add users via emails. Then assign roles through assign organizational role here. Then you can also revoke admin rights. Locate the user in the user management and use the remove organization role options to revoke permissions. So there are some issues into the Jira Confluence integration like missing permissions or configuration errors. So to fix it, you should delete existing configurations, restart the integration process from the scratch. Okay. So let me tell you how to create an epic again. First, So an epic is a large body of work that is broken down into smaller tasks or stories. So you navigate to a Jira dashboard and select the epic options from the project board. This is the container for all of your related user stories. When creating an epic, give it a meaningful title and description. For example, user stories registration field, mandatory field. Okay. Then to create issues under Confluence, you can create issues directly linked to an epic. Go to create issue screen and select the project name, for example, project BC. Then fill out the issue summary, for instance, registration mandatory field. Then in the description field, write a user story. For example, as a user, I want to ensure that all mandatory fields are properly validated during registration. So can I submit the form successfully. Then assign the issues to a team member using the Jira handle. Okay. Set the story points. If it's an 8-point story, enter 8. So you can enter them into the story point estimate. Then select the sprint in which the issue should be completed. Link the issue to an epic. So issue the epic linked drop down to select your epic, like epic 1. You can create multiple issues at once by checking the option to create another issues after the current one. This is useful when you want to add several tasks related to the same epic without having to manually create each one individually. After creating an issue, make sure to assign it to the right person like developer, tester, etc. You can assign roles by typing the person's handle like a dev one, test one. This assigns the responsibility for the completed task. Now for managing sprints and issues, once you have created your issues and linked them to the epic, you can manage them in your sprint backlog. You can drag and drop issues between different sprints and prioritize tasks as needed. For instance, if you want to move certain stories from Epic to Sprint 1, simply drag them to the Sprint columns. After pulling your stories from the into the sprint, you can drag them around to ensure the team has the right amount of work. To set up the sprint start and end dates, go to the sprint configuration section. You can manually input start and end dates or let Jira auto generate them based on your preferences. If you need to make changes to the sprint, such as moving stories and updating dates, simply click on the sprint edit option and adjust accordingly. Now to manage teams and assign roles, to add team members, go to the team management section. You can invite team members by their email address. Once the invitation is accepted, they can start tracking the issues, but they don't have permissions to edit the organization setting until granted admin access. Okay. In the refinement session, the Scrum Master will work with the team to assign story points to each issue. They are calculated based on the complexity of the task and how much time is expected to take. Developers, testers, and DevOps each contribute their estimate during this meeting. As you create your test case, you should be linking them to the appropriate Jira issues. In the test plan documentation, make sure to link the issue IDs for traceability. If there's any dependency or roadblock, update them into the test plan or Jira. This will help everyone to stay aligned with the project. So here is the template I have given you. You will use a test case template sheet to write your test cases. Okay. It will have fields such as scenario types, test case ID, priority assigned to, and story points. The Jira issue link will be placed in the issue link field, which links the test cases to the corresponding Jira issues. Okay, here you can see them in the uh, pictures I have shown you. A sprint typically lasts 14 days, but that doesn't mean that the team will be working all 14 days. We generally exclude weekends, so that means 10 days of the working period. Now let's calculate the total available hours for a member of three. So if each member works 8 hours a day for 10 days, each member will be contributing 80 hours. With three members, two testers and one developers, the total team hours for the sprint is 240 hours. Each team member is expected to handle 20 story points. And for three members combined, that equals 60 story points for the sprint. Now, story points are assigned based on the effort and time. For example, if 1 point equals 4 hours, then 20-point story requires 80 hours to complete. These points are reviewed in the refinement session where the development team and the testers provide their estimates. Now know how to create epics and issues. Then, uh, so let me show you here. So you can see that the sprint name, duration, the date, and the sprint goal is mentioned and updated for the sprint session. So now you can create epic and issues, assign story points, manage sprint, and work with your team in Jira. So next class we'll cover how to edit the test plan further and finalize the backlog for the upcoming sprint. So thank you everyone. You have learned the key steps in Jira today. If you have any questions or issues, feel free to sit with me after the class. Okay? So I'll see you guys, sorry, in the next class. Till then, take care of yourself.